Hey folks, Connor from Nice Wheels here, and I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about how to change a rear flat on your Brompton. So in this video, we'll go through all of the tools that you'll need to change a rear flat, and we'll go through all of the minute steps of the process that you'll need to know to do it the right way. So I have this bike on a stand right now, but in most real world situations, you're not gonna have a bike stand. So we're gonna go ahead and bring this down. So to make things easier for you while you're trying to get the wheel off, you wanna go ahead and turn the bike upside down. So you can just balance that right on the seat and the handlebars, and this will be your workstation anywhere you go. So this first step when you're taking off the rear wheel is only going to apply to those of you with a 6 or a 3-speed, meaning you have an internal hub back here. So the first thing you want to do is grab your pliers and your needle nose pliers if you have them. If not, you are able to take these off by hand. It just might be a little tough. So you can go ahead and loosen your gear indicator chain, and you just want to get that small bolt down the thread a little bit. And then you can go ahead and loosen the top one and just kind of disconnect them here once they're loose. Then you want to take the smaller bolt that's still attached to the chain and just thread that right off and keep that in a safe place. All right, now the next step to do is to take off your chain tensioner. So you're going to need your 15mm wrench for this one, and you can just use the open side and start loosening the bolt here that is keeping the tensioner tight to the frame. So you can go ahead, loosen that, and just bring it through the indicator chain. Of course, if you have a 2-speed or a single speed, you won't have to worry about this indicator chain. You'll have a much smaller bolt than this, and it'll just be the same process. So no matter which gear setup you have on your Brompton, whether it be a 6, 3, or a 2-speed, you do want to have your bike in the toughest gear. So you want to make sure that your chain is at its lowest point. So that's going to happen by going to the 3rd gear, or the hardest gear of your internal hub, whether you have a 3 or a 6-speed. And you want to make sure that the chain is in the smaller sprocket. So it's going to be your toughest gear on the 6 and the 2-speed as far as the derailleur goes. This is going to make it a lot easier to take your chain tensioner off and put it back on when you're done. Now the next step is actually taking the tensioner off. So it's pretty simple. It just kind of pops right off here, and you just want to bring it out. Make sure you're avoiding the chain pusher there. It helps to tension it a little bit and just kind of wiggle it off, and you can let that completely decompress there. Now you want to come right back to your 15mm wrench, and you're going to take the 2 bolts off that are fastening the wheel to the frame. You can use the complete side if you'd like, or the open side of the wrench, doesn't really matter. You want to just turn that lefty-loosey, and usually once you get it just a little bit loose, you can use your hand and undo the rest of that. Just get it a couple turns to the left, and then you can start undoing it with your hand. And then you want to get the other side and just get both of those bolts threaded off of the axle. It doesn't make a difference which one of these bolts goes on which side, so just as long as you keep both of them, they're not side specific, so you can just put those with the rest of your bolts that you have saved. And finally, the last piece of hardware that you have to remove is this little fastener that has 2 ends to it. One end says top, and one just has no writing on it. So this is important to when you're putting it back on, just to make sure that the top side is directed towards the saddle. So now that you got all of your hardware off of the axle and you got a flat tire, so you don't have to worry about the brakes being open, you can just go ahead and lift that off of the frame, give that a good pull, and just slide it right off.